The most important part of a church is its front door. That's what one architect has said. Now, if I were asked what is the most important part of a church, I might be thinking of the altar, the sanctuary, the Blessed Sacrament area. But he says it's the front door. And the reason for that is where the visitor first encounters the church, at its front door. Someone in the banking industry was reflecting on changes in that business, and changes that can be seen through its architecture. When you look at older bank buildings, very often they were huge, built like fortresses with immense doors. And what was the message being given? Your money is safe with us, and there isn't anybody that's going to touch it except for you. Newer bank buildings tend to be smaller and have glass doors so that when you're going by, you can see the activity going on inside. And what's the message being delivered? We're working hard to make your money work for you. Doors, entranceways, they say so much. What do you see when you enter through the doors of this church, which is now 11 years old already? You come into an area called the gathering area, which gives all of us a chance to bump into each other before Mass begins. Whether we're coming in from the Lake Road side or the Electric Boulevard side, we bump into each other. No matter where we end up being seated in this church, we connect with one another in the gathering area before we come in. When you think of St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, you think of all the pilgrims that come there and gather and bump into one another on their way up the steps and into the Basilica of St. Peter's. What we have back here in the gathering area is really, I suppose, St. Joseph Plaza, St. Joseph Square, as we prepare to enter through the doors of the church. When you just get inside this church, just a step or two, what do you notice? The ceiling is very low there, right over the baptismal font, maybe 10 feet from the floor. It's an old architectural technique of going from the small to the big, going from a ceiling at 10 feet to a ceiling at 45 feet. Frank Lloyd Wright used this technique a lot in his building designs. It's a very old idea, though. It goes back to the days when castles were in vogue. And a castle very often had two entrance doors. One, a very large and grand one, that was the royal door for the king and his retinue. Another one nearby that was called the citizen's door. And it was built a little shorter than the average adult human being. And what it did was forced the citizens to bow as they entered in the presence of the king. We come into this church, the house of the Lord, and we come in bowing before our King. But then we almost run into the baptismal font at the entrance, at the gate, at the door of the church. Why? That, again, is a very, very old and venerable tradition. Because how did we come to belong to this family of the church? It was through our baptism. When we died with Christ and rose with Christ in that great sacrament. That's why when we come into the church, we come in almost bowing and putting our hand in the baptismal font and taking some of that water and making the sign of the cross as a reminder of how we entered through the doors of faith, how we became members of this family through our baptism. We're grateful that our Good Shepherd has invited us to come in, that our Good Shepherd himself is the gate, is the door to everlasting life, and we have been invited. We hear Jesus in today's gospel, the Good Shepherd gospel, describing himself. Notice what he says. I am the gate. How humble. How humble. Would any of us ever describe ourselves that way? I am the gate. We would probably rather say, I happen to be the person in charge, and I'm quite important, let me let you know. Jesus says about himself that he is the gate. Listen to his words from the gospel. Jesus says, I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. And I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. What is he saying? He's saying, you can have everlasting life through me, the gate. You have access to my Father and your heavenly Father through me, the gate. You will have life, and even more abundant life, through me, the gate. That's our shepherd. He is also our gate. A son of our own parish, Deacon John Schneider, is seeking to become a shepherd after the Lord's own heart through the sacrament of priesthood. He's with us this morning as the deacon of this Mass. He leaves for retreat this afternoon through Thursday. And on Saturday morning, this coming Saturday morning, he will be ordained a priest of the Diocese of Cleveland at 10 o'clock in the morning in the Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist in downtown Cleveland at the corner of East 9th Street and Superior Avenue at the hands of our diocesan bishop, Bishop Richard Lennon. And you're all invited to the ordination, if you can come. There are details in this weekend's bulletin this coming Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's received his assignment. He will be stationed as parochial vicar, as associate at Holy Family Parish in Parma, effective June the 7th. Next Sunday, he will be the principal celebrant as a priest, as Father John Schneider, at this 11 o'clock Mass. He deliberately chose one of our regular parish Masses for his solemn first Mass, because he wanted you all to be able to come. So if you can come next Sunday at 11, you're most welcome, and there'll be a parish reception for everybody right after Mass. I want to congratulate his mother and father, Mary and Jim Schneider, and Deacon John's brothers and sisters, because they have helped in so many ways to nurture the call, the vocation that he has been given by God to be a shepherd after the heart of Jesus himself, to act as a priest in the person of Jesus Christ, to welcome people through the gate, through the door that leads to everlasting life. And so we promise you, Deacon, soon Father John, our prayers and our love. We have two other seminarians from our parish, as you know, Scott Goodfellow, that, God willing, 3 years from now would be ordained and celebrate his first solemn Mass, and Lou Balzer, ordination, first Mass a bit thereafter. In the 62-year history of our St. Joseph Parish, Avon Lake, we have one other priest, Father Mark Carter, a Capuchin Franciscan priest who is the son of Marge Carter and the late Chuck Carter. We have wonderful young people here in our parish. You know that, I know that. I truly believe that God is calling some of you to a vocation in being a priest, being a sister, being a brother. And I ask all of you as members of our parish family to imitate Jesus and be the gate. Let them know that if you see something special in them, that they have what it takes to be a priest, a sister, or a brother, if that is what God is calling them to be. On June the 14th, I celebrate my 36th anniversary of ordination to the priesthood. And of those 36 years, 16 of them have been right here at St. Joseph Parish. I thank God every day for calling me to be a priest. I thank God for calling me to serve here. Would I do it all over again? With all that's going on in our world, with all that's going on in our church, would I be ordained a priest all over again? Yes, absolutely. I'm grateful for the calling. I'm grateful for the decision that I made 36 years ago. Yes, I would do it all over again, even knowing what I know today. I look at the past with gratitude. I look to the future with hope. And with God's grace, with your prayerful support, I will continue to do that. And I encourage you in your own callings, in your own vocations, to do the very same thing. To look at the past with gratitude, to look to the future with hope. Through God's grace, through the prayerful support of one another in this family of faith. I ask Jesus, our Good Shepherd, to keep wide open the gate, the door of salvation for everyone. And I ask Jesus also to keep every single one of us safe from harm and safe from anxiety. May Jesus, our Good Shepherd, may Jesus, our gate, bless us, everyone.